Hey, YouTube, and I guess Discord. It's me again, here to showcase a Joey-Pegasus Finals. This was a double elimination tournament in the Graceful Charity at Tutopia server. Uh, this event was hosted by Soul Emerald 69, frequent guest within the Yu-Gi-Oh! Retro Discord community, one of the spicy chefs within the DM and GX era formats. For those who don't know, this was a format dedicated to the spooky season of Halloween, and although Halloween has since passed, it's not going to stop the holiday season from bleeding into the next month. Uh, Technically, it did start in October, but I digress. This was a tournament with a little prize incentive, that being Soul is giving the winner of this grand finals a playset of unlimited Dark Necrofears from the original set Labyrinth of Nightmare, and receiving the role of Legendary Duelist on the Graceful Charity server. Additionally, the highest topping Dark Necrofear list got to win an unlimited copy of Necrofear, and that was Lolo 8888, frequent 8888, frequent guest on the DM and GX era formats, and a great player overall. Having a number of third, second, and even first place wins within formats such as Treasure. Uh, we are going to get started in this finals right away. Here is the results of the top 8-ish players, I think. I didn't count. We see our first finalist here coming in from the winner's bracket. Yet to be defeated is Food, another YGO from Zero regular. Also, the kind of the spokesperson for Yugi Kaiba and Critter. He was responsible for getting a lot of YK going, aka the Food Bowl series, and they are currently hosting a Critter tournament, which is the Trick or Treat event. Food has been incredibly dedicated to the DMGX era scenes. He's been a relatively consistent player, getting into some top 8s, top 4s, and now he's become a finalist in the Joey-Pegasus event. The question is, can he take it home? Can he take this home in this final match, or will his opponent take that from him? He's got some fierce competition. It's Aretos, the Arizona Ace. We all know, if you've been paying attention to the YGO server, the FL events, and some of the other servers for DMR formats, you know Aretos. I apologize for mispronouncing his name. He is one of the top contenders in this scene, along with players like GBO. He's coming in for revenge, having got knocked out of this winner's finals here, but is ready to get this Necrofear playset for himself. He's ready to beat Food twice to do it. The question is, can he pull it off? And this kind of leads to some of the complications with the format, as this format in particular has a notorious reputation for being incredibly sacky. You're basically playing with the new overpowered Labyrinth of Nightmare cards, and this is for people who don't know, but you've got double charity, which leads to a lot of disgusting opening moves. If you getting into even just one charity off the get-go can get into things like your treasure cards, your hand rip cards. You get into things like Painful Choice to get your deck in further. You get into your Pot of Greed, which lets you draw more cards. In my opinion, there can be some fun games, but overall, games get incredibly lopsided. There's a lot of struggle with skill expression, and if you ask many players, they put this format really low on their favorites. Some would even put it like at their bottom. Some people don't even acknowledge it as a format just because double charity is just really uh, really game warping, match warping, and a lot of games can be determined on whether players get into that charity or not. I know there can be a little more to it, but having played this format multiple times myself, and even getting into the even being a finalist before, I've definitely experienced firsthand how games can just be decided uh, a lot of times through luck. But you know, people are still willing to play it. There's an audience for everything. So I don't want to completely dismiss it. I just find a lot of matches get warped as a result of charity accelerating the game that's already in a pretty broken state, with cards like Kaiku and Bazoo having their overpowered effects. So that's kind of a rundown. Maybe we'll see something interesting in this final match. Maybe there could be. I'm just hoping that we're getting at least for one match. It's a pretty. It comes down to a test of skill expression. I know I've hosted some of these old school formats before, and some of the hosted finals for these retro formats, and some games have been incredibly one-sided. Saki, and that's not always fun, but we'll see what happens. One player could just open the nuts the entire time, and other times they can just be on the even playing ground, and that's going to be where it's going to be interesting. We are going to get started relatively soon, but for those who might enjoy a 2003 format that's not Charity Blowout, there is coming up, for those interested, another Jinzo Jackers event. This is Android. This is pretty much the format without cards like Graceful Charity, Harpy's Feather Duster, and Sinister Serpent. That is essentially while it's not the most balanced format, it's definitely a little more fair, and you're not playing with these you're not playing with the blowout draws. Anyway, on the Android Land server, we got Jinzo Jackers number 4, the Jackening. This is an Android multi-day, likely going to be a Swiss event, with a top cut of the top 8 players. And if you guys are interested, you should give it a check out. You could probably find a link to it in the YGO from Zero server. If not, I'd be happy to offer a link to the event, the format, if you're interested. Now I'm getting some DMs in Discord. I'm just going to check them real quick. But yeah, there is a Android format tournament coming up if you want to play a dialed back version of this format. I apologize if I'm rambling a bit. I'm just eagerly kind of kill some time before they actually start the match. And it looks like we're going to be starting very soon, so I'm going to cut the music. I'm going to see what's going on in Discord. We're gonna go into DB. We are gonna try and find these guys. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We are about to witness the final match. I can see Aretos is hosting the game. Now, with all said and done, though, I am not going to be alone on the commentary today. In fact, I will be joined by our gracious host of this event, who should be ringing in anytime soon, sometime soon, sorry. Soul Emerald 69 will indeed be with me in the comms momentarily, and he'll be able to talk more about this event, this format, and anything else. And I'll get to see what how he feels about the whole thing and what he may have liked and whatnot. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and start watching these guys play. It looks like they're all hosted up here. I'm gonna switch tabs. We got the game here. And you know what? I don't know where Soul is, but I'm gonna give him a call. I'm gonna call Soul and see what's up. Hello, hello. Hey, how you doing? I thought I'd call you. You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, looks like we got this final match underway. How you feel about this whole tournament? This is the now the third Joey-Pegasus event that you've held on the Graceful charity server. What are your thoughts have been so far with these three events?
Um, so uh, there was a bit, like I would say, initially after the first event, I was thinking I wanted to try and do these more monthly, but unfortunately, time wasn't really kind to me over the summer. So but I did eventually want to come back to it. So I did, the last one, of course, uh, with Thousand Dragons and all. And for this one, I thought it would be really special to do, obviously something a bit more Halloween focused and in a way with the theming as well with Cards of Darkness. Just sort of as a cool reference to of course yourself. Very much.
I'm
I think,
flattered.
yeah, from the time that I've been able to know you and all, it seems like of course you were there. There seemed to be an affinity, especially for a lot of like the horror theme, like the monsters and all within Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dark Necrofear was like I think one that I think you had for a bit. I think that was like your last profile, right?
Yes, it was my profile picture on Discord for a brief period of time, and it still is on Format Library because it doesn't automatically update. But yeah, little history on that. Yes, Dark Necrofear is a cool card. I like it. It's one of those cards I enjoyed having. Well, and I'm into that. I'm into the obviously. Well, it's pretty blatant. I'm into like the dark monsters and stuff. But when I first joined the whole Discord scene, YGO from Zero Server, they were covering Android. Just starting to cover Android. BSOX was covering that, and I was really excited to play. I said, "Oh, Dark Necrofear is legal in this format." So I always tried to build like Necrofear decks and like Giant German, Karibo, and yes, I got like yes the harsh reality set in with all the Kaiku Bazoo blowout spells, yada yada. But uh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool to see people actually build Necrofear decks. And given the prize incentive, I'm not saying it's the only reason they did it, but it's cool to
Yeah.
inside a deck building challenge in a format seems where it seems to be a lot of the same. Like typically, 30 to 35 cards are relatively the same in the list.
Yeah, and that was part of it too. I do agree that there was more of a showing just because of the fact that uh, the winner, of course, as well. So far, when doing these tournaments, I've I've elected to try and do something special for the winner. And for this one, I thought to keep it the you know nice Halloween theme, we're gonna do like a nice play set for the winner. But I thought an additional prize too could be if for the person that topped with the highest you know uh, list topping with Dark Necrofear, they would get their own copy as well. The copies of this card are going to be from Labyrinth of Nightmare um, for that.
And we're talking about the. I know it's unlimited, but like yeah, the old school Labyrinth Nightmare, the old school like text, and old school like Ultra Foil, and yeah, I do think I actually have one of those. I just don't have it on me right now. But I'll show you a picture in the Discord later. I do think I have a LON Necrofear. So while I'm sad that I got knocked out of the tournament, I'm okay because I do have my Necrofears to work with.
Yeah, yeah. I myself was a little bit personally. I was a little bit worried that it would have been just something where I wanted to personally, just for myself, wanted to see what I could try and do with Necrofear. I got out very early on, just two O2 losses for me, but um, when it came to that challenge, one of our players, Lolo, was the one to have the highest list. They finished in the top 8. Uh, Obviously, like generally these tournaments have been relatively smaller. Around like our highest last time was 20. This one was 19, but still, like I think no, it is cool to see like that like any sort of like variation of like any differing strategy doing as well as it can. Uh, doing even if it's just like top 8 or so. I think that was still really nice to see. Like Necrophy at least somewhat getting there, but I think in general, I think with the story, at least so far with Joey-Pegasus and how I think the format has been, I think this is something maybe when it comes to like these formats that a realization maybe I'm more having is just that like more or less I think how things have been is like tomato control variants are usually gonna be the thing that generally is gonna be more consistently doing well, and because of that, I think like the other strategies, it's since they're not really optimized and there's not always as much interest to like work with them. Like these things are just gonna be how they are for a little bit. I don't know. Who knows? Things could change, but yeah.
No, that's all fair points. And with everybody jumping from format to format, it's more often than not people that are, if we're looking for people coming in and out, whether they're new, whether they're returning or experienced, they're likely going to grab a list that's just going to be consistent, the cards that they're familiar with the most, and they're not thinking too much about the overarching strategy or how their tech cards are going to work in and out. So it sucks that people may not be trying too many different things or different variations with it, but it's small stepping stones. It is baby steps for each format, given that the mass majority of players are still in things like Goat, Edison, Tengu, Hat, and in my opinion, 19 to 20 people is a good turnout, especially for a format that's received a lot of flack and has generally a negative connotation or negative reputation for being just dumb, sacky. Some people don't acknowledge it, but here we are. We got people turning up and playing the event, and whether they like it or not, they're giving it a try. They're experiencing it for themselves. So I think that's every little step is a win.
Yeah, no, it very much still is. I've been very grateful for, especially with these last two.
Sorry, very graceful. Graceful.
Yeah, graceful. Yeah, graceful. Very graceful. Yes, very graceful. I don't know. I was gonna do some meme about mindful demure, but I'm not so sure really what you can really do with that. I don't know what others. I guess like poised. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, graceful and poised. I guess who knows? Delicate.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, no. But like it's been just I've been very much. It's great to still see people come out for these and okay. No, I thought for a second it was like we was gonna try and skull her, but nah. But yeah.
There you go. Aretos getting his revenge.
Yeah. Yeah. So this tournament was double elimination, so there is a chance we may see a second match. I do like seeing if we can get to the second one.
Oh, absolutely, me too.
And Aretos, I think definitely is one of the players that can very much is it's done a lot of really just has a lot of great stuff just in general, like obviously not even just with in something like here, like they've been doing stuff in like Edison as an example, like from time to time, so they've done a lot of good stuff, but food isn't bad. No, food's not bad either. There's someone that's a little bit newer-ish, I guess when it comes to like retro, like in terms of just the timing, because some of the players here have been playing a lot longer or so. But when it comes to food has been, I think, is a player that has like very much like has improved and has been playing a lot very consistently as well in these tournaments too.
Food has come a long way since he had first joined the whole Discord scene about, I think it would be over a year ago.
Yeah,
And they were very enthusiastic about, well, he was very enthusiastic about Yugi Kaiba, and he eventually gave Orla formats a try, and yeah, he's just building up those been building up his skills ever since, and now Food is could be taking home his second tournament win. He had won one a few months ago in his own Yugi Kaiba tournament, the Food Bowl 2. But yeah, this is a very difficult opponent. Aretos. I'm gonna mispronounce his name probably. Aretos.
yeah,
We all we all are familiar with him. We know how good he is. But he's not. But Rados is also not necessarily. I'm not going to disclose. I'm obviously not going to disclose too much personal information. Rados is not exactly one of the older people either. So, um, he's
yeah.
very.
I think like yeah,
He's got a knack for this. He's very talented. He understands a lot of the game's principles. He's proven time to time that he has a lot of skill expression and able to play those mental Yu-Gi-Oh games. So, uh, yeah,
yeah,
very
for
interesting.
sure. Like
Interesting seeing two of these guys square off.
yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Like at least to me, especially with a Aretos too, it's like every time I'm like facing him in a match, it's like okay, um, I attempt in my mind to try and play as best as I can, but even I feel like if you like as an example, if you misplay, Aretos will definitely know how to punish that misplay. Um,
Yeah, those
that's
are
I think a sign of a really great player, you know.
yeah the sign of, yeah, absolutely. The playing against someone like Rados, playing someone like GBO or Jazz, you screw up, they're gonna punish you twice as hard because they know it's a mistake, because they know it's a mistake, and they know it's a mistake, and they almost know how to make you misplay, and they almost know the familiar plays to punish. So yeah, it always feels it always feels a lot more stressful playing against these guys. But it is, in my opinion, it is very good practice, because you can kind of see what it's like playing against someone who's at the top of their level, and you learn a lot from playing these guys and know like why something didn't work and how they got you and how they
Yeah,
keep getting you. I
definitely.
don't think I've beaten Aretos a single time since I've played him in any of these tournaments, so it's
Yeah.
definitely a trial by fire.
Yeah, for sure. I know at least for sure. I've only like beaten him like a couple of times, but it's definitely more in like these smaller formats because I like, and that's just how it be too. Because like it's obviously not everything is like completely optimized or so. Because like
No,
I think especially like in the more familiar stuff, like I do not think I probably like I don't know. It'd definitely be a tough shot to say like in an Addison tournament to be like, yeah, I'm gonna try and 2-0 Rados. Like that's so easy. That's really not.
no, no.
Yeah. Um, we're seeing though definitely some pretty good board control on Food's end at least.
I haven't been clicking too much of the graveyards and stuff in Borks I've been talking, but yeah, we can kind of see Food's got kind of the upper hand for now, but Rados still has 5 cards in hand. Food
Yeah.
does have the IO
Right.
still in the deck or on the field, and it doesn't look like it's coming out here.
No. Yeah, that's our goal. That's very good.
So I got to ask you one little question. So we got
Yeah.
Food on the OCG tomato and Rados on the TCG tomato. What is your favorite between the two?
Gosh. I think it's interesting. I think for a while, like before I even knew about the OCG tomato, I will say like just to to give TCG its due. It is I think a very great it is a great like redesign for what it is, and like it was to the point that like people would very much could even mistaken it for the OCG because it really is just the it is a genuinely like I think just scary artwork for the time, you know, and it still is great. I think that is great. I don't know. I usually like I don't know. I think maybe there is sort of my thing. What I like about OCG Tomato though is that it's very much like a jack o' lantern inspired look, and I don't know. I sort of am a big fan of jack o' lanterns, so it's why I lean a little bit more towards OCG. But like TCG is great too. I think both artworks are really good.
Yeah,
But
I
I
just
will
I
say more
I just
with
wanted to ask
OCG.
because I always when I see
Yeah,
players with because tomato is such a common card crossing from treasure and even going as
yeah,
late as some of these GX formats. Players choosing whether they want the TCG tomato or OCG. I always gone with the TCG artwork just because that's what I mostly because nostalgia. That's what I grew up with, and
yeah.
but I do think there's appreciation for the OCG art as well. So
Yeah. No, like I the thing is too, like about like TCG as well. Like I think that makes like complete sense as well to be like, yeah, no, I think like the TCG is still like really really good. Like to me, it's not something where it's like I hate TCG tomato. I know some people don't like OCG tomato, which I can understand as well too. But to me, it's like I think they're just both really good, and I just lean slightly towards OCG. But it could also just be me because like I tend to like especially on Dueling Book like play with OCG arts because I sort of am like someone that's like I don't like when I'm not I get why especially at the time they were like yeah we got to censor some of this stuff Konami TCG had to do all that but I don't know I think it's always cool to like show off like artworks that maybe aren't as like seen as well like I like as well like OCG Reborn a lot too.
that was very nice for them in the North America to have the what's it called, the Lost Art Collection, to finally
Yeah.
get past all this censorship and have the see some of the OCG artworks. I think that was a really cool inclusion. That was it's kind of like yeah, people can kind of get over now because the target audience they were worried about initially, they're all kind of grown up now, and I guess there's more
Yeah.
adults than kids who play the game. So
Yeah.
we're
No,
we're past that
definitely.
point.
I do. Yeah. No, it's just it is unfortunate though. Like some of the cards that maybe we won't ever see in OCG that I know wouldn't necessarily be as great, but I think just one that I like that I know probably can't come is like that XZ's Dark Magician Girl inspired one Magi Magi I think it is.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, that one I really I think the artwork for that one is like just really good. It's unfortunate that we probably won't really ever get to see that still. But
Sadly, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Now, that was an
yeah.
interesting card for debate that Aretos is up to use Cyberjar in his list for here for the tomato list or whatever. And this is an
Yeah.
interesting card to that some players have either in a I just want to talk about it because like some players have either had an
Yeah,
aversion
no,
to it
for
or some
sure.
people have been really drawn into it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the jar cards in this format because they have slipped into some lists, not necessarily playing jar control, but just having just a list using morphing or cyber as a tech. And I want to ask someone who's maybe seen several of these Joey-Pegasus tournaments what your thoughts on the cards are in general in
Yeah.
terms of this
I
format.
very much yeah, no, I very much have been like sort of an advocate of like I think to can at least consider maybe seeing how they work for you in your deck because especially within a format where there's a lot of like a player has a lot of say card whether it's card advantage or just like board control in particular it's like the jars really help like it's sort of it's at least as a catch up mechanic you're definitely not going to necessarily always like come back every single time but the times that you do it's why I think those cards I think should potentially I don't know I very much would be an advocate of like at least playing one of them in the main. I think like between the two, I know I think some people I'd say slightly prefer cyber a little more. Um, and then there's like reasons though to consider morphing jar though too because it's like um, with that potentially gets rid of like things from the hand while jar is able to deal with the board. So, but yeah, no, I think those cards I think either of them can be main deck or at least um, one or at least one or even both. I think Cybertron more in particular. I think in the side deck isn't a bad call either to bring in as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because what I've gotten from morphing Cyberjar is because of our replay system, if a player knows that you're on your main decking either of those cards, they're obviously going to change their approach. And say if I knew that my opponent was on a morphing jar, I might be more inclined to set my spell traps for attacking, small interactions like that, and whether to bring in the extra knocks, but that could be like mind games because they might side out the jars and bring in something else. I think jars add a nice dynamic to not just not just Joey-Pegasus, but Android as well, and even formats potentially like Fiber, even going into Yada, or even beforehand
sure.
when
Like
even beforehand like
yeah.
Imperial too.
Yeah, even Imperial, at least with Morphing Jar, I think it could very much still be considered, and Cyber as well. I think um, yeah, no, like those cards very much have like they've always I think had you know a spot. I think to some degree, it just I think it's always just been debate about are they good enough to play sometimes, you know.
They have that extra risk incentive just because you may accidentally benefit your opponent. I know I've definitely had cyber jars where my opponent completely won out on the 5 cards, or
Yeah,
I've had morphing jars stolen by change of heart, and then the opponent takes that fully to their advantage. So there's always that added risk. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, I think got to make some. There's got to be some risk incentive. There has to be even there's got to be some sort of because they are big card. They have huge effects. Either being able to generate pluses, deck thinning, sniping
yeah,
cards off your opponent's board or the hand. It's a way. Cyberjar is a way to get out of things like Jinzo
yeah,
or
that
just
too, and
yeah.
it can just it gives you a bunch of monsters that you can summon, so that can that can help lead to either maybe not an OTK, but can help that's major board control that you can win because of a cyber jar. Then turning the tables against like an established board as well. Um, yeah, the definitely the cards are still I think the thing about those types of cards too, it's like the best players like say or just players that really know how to take advantage of that. Like I think Aretos definitely for sure. I think that's a card I know for sure. Cyberjar is a card that like he's definitely discussed about um, how brutal of a card it is, and if you know how to use right well, it's like it's really backbreaking. So yeah,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I have heard him mention it before uh, regarding Cyberjar's power and how to kind of. I think something that pro players do is like manipulating your luck or uh, all about the timing of it. I mean, sometimes you have no choice but to kind of set the Cyberjar, but in other cases you can kind of set up your turn for that. Oh, sorry.
oh, I was just saying, yeah. No, yeah, no, for sure. I guess no, just for a second, like I think with how things just played out with setting up stuff, we just see right here, like with the faith and all, and with the change and getting all that, just a lot there. I don't know. You can go on with what you're saying.
Oh
Sorry.
no, no, I was just on a ramble. Yeah,
Yeah.
another interesting card. Magician of Faith ratios. Whether it's run
Yeah.
1, 1, 3. It obviously like the jars have the risk of being like stolen by a change of heart, sniped by a knock. I think the Magician of Faith cards are really good. I think the Magician of Faiths are really good in duplicates because of how warping the spell cards in this time period. But I know other people
Yeah.
would more invest in having more copies of like beaters like Kaiku Bazoo. So it's very interesting to see how the players have played around with some of their ratios. I mean, not every player's been running, like the triangle of beaters, Jinzo, yada yada. But for the cards that aren't like limited by the list, it's fascinating to see how people have approached with their ratios and not just monsters, but cards like Torrential Tribute and
Yeah.
maybe others like Fissure, the Jar of Greeds, and even people playing around with Time Seal.
As well, or like I know like Aretos had like Trap Hole in the list too. That's a card that I know there's. I think there is still like even some debate about whether Trap Hole is a Trap Hole or Torrential Tribute to consider maining.
Trap Hole versus TT, yeah, because both have feasible arguments with TT being a board wipe, which can obviously help if you're on the back foot or if you're making a play with like your Serpent, Sangan Witch, and triggering your own. Just as an example, you have a chance of going plus with it, but Trap Hole being a somewhat reliable one-for-one removal, because more often than not, your opponent's going to want to drop one of the beaters, or even just a way to get rid of Tomato, so you're not having to just attack into it. So
yeah,
it really becomes in that line of subjectivity. Granted that there isn't really an accurate result, which just says one is better than the other, and obviously due to the variance factor of not just this format but Yu-Gi-Oh in general, it really, a lot of it comes down to just works at the time. I mean, in some situations, like Trap Hole can just fall dead and TT would have been better, or vice versa. You may be wanting to have a Trap Hole and not wiping your own board of TT, so it's where the game gets very interesting because it's really not, it's not really always just like rocks beats paper and paper beats scissors, and unless you're doing RPs.
Yeah. Oh goodness, though. I will say though this is I know this is very much. I will say this game 3 is very much sort of the fear, I would say, of like when it comes to this format is when that happens. Just in particular, like Aretos is down to just like one card, and it's down around 27. This may be a full, just a straight up like undefeated.
Could be, yeah. Food could be taking this home. We'll see what happens with this painful choice. It's all about the 5 cards. It also depends on what Aretos has set. There, oh god. It's gotta. If Food does look in his graveyard, likely to be deduced as a trap, given that Aretos has not played any trap cards yet, except for the one called Haunted. He would maybe looking to avoid walking into a TT or Trap Hole.
Duster,
and
okay.
So, yeah, we're really kind of down to the wire because if Food does end up playing to Aretos' card, it could give him a chance to come back in. Gives Aretos a Duster. And fire it off.
Yeah, no, it's Duster for Duster. Unfortunate at 19.
Oof.
Alright. I think this top deck has to be everything, or...
Yeah.
Okay. Set. That's...
Could be that jar we talked about.
Oh, but...
Oh, it's
Man-Eater Bug. Oh,
now there's a tech option.
Yeah.
There is a tech card.
Yeah. That's like a card I feel like in some of these formats that, sometimes they're there. Like it sometimes just shows up, and then just other times it's completely gone. Man-Eater Bug.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now I'm gonna quickly drop out of this call and join the group call here. I want to see if Food wants to say anything in the commentary. So I'll be right back with you just a second.
Yeah.
Let's be just a moment. We'll see if Food has any thoughts regarding this this series. I'm just gonna give him a call. Just gonna call these guys up again. Alright, we'll see if Food or Aretos wants to give their thoughts on this final duel or this format, and maybe interesting to hear their perspective from the winners. Congrats to Food for... Oh, you'll join in just a second.
Okay.
Just stand by, everyone. I'm gonna pull up the...
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start playing back the replay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so unfortunately, we couldn't get food on Aretos in the call here, but I guess I'll.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Or oh,
Okay. So you just be
wait,
listening in. So food.
I see. Okay.
Congratulations on winning this event. How are we feeling? Uh, Tense match. Feeling stressed. Yeah, I.
Yeah,
Happy woman.
that is the Aretos. That's the Aretos special. Honestly, yeah, that's fair.
Sol, do you have any words for our winner here, food?
Yeah, well, just firstly, like, um, congratulations. Food here is going to be receiving 3 copies of Dark Necrofear from the original Labyrinth of Nightmare uh, as the winner as well. So, yeah, undefeated. Did not drop a single match. That's very, I guess that's, how's that? How is it? Yeah, how did it feel to like go undefeated this for this?
Says it feels good. Quickly grabbed a list from GBO, and hey, that's a really good idea because GBO did GBO win
Yes.
the last one or the first one, or did he win both?
Yeah, GBO. Yeah, no, GBO was our first legendary duelist to win for Graceful Charity. Yeah, so that one was more of the standard list that he brought. Um, he brought it back actually. The Cannon Soldier list again, which it didn't go as far, unfortunately, but it still went pretty well. I think at least around top 8, top 6. I think that's where GBO was at um, for this one. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah, no,
Okay, yeah,
yeah, I guess GBO. It was a list I believe he worked with in Fiber during Dump Truck's live event. Uh, must have been adapted over to JP because you relatively have the same setup with the scapegoat being a run 3 and utilizing the tokens as both like a wall card and also and being able to pop off the cannon soldier. So yeah, usually having so
yeah,
food says he usually has the Nox and stuff. The list usually had Nox, but he didn't main any. So
yeah.
yeah, it's also an
That's a
interesting talk.
as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting card with the knock. Do you main it? Do you main one? Do you keep it in the side? Do you side two, main two? Because
Mm-hmm.
uh, he said he
Oh,
might be able to
okay.
talk for a second, so it might be better than us responding to the messages.
Hello?
Hey,
Does
hey,
my
there
mic
you
work?
go. Hey, there you
Okay,
go.
hello.
So usually for like any deck in like I don't know before chaos, even in chaos, and I actually any DM format, I at least main one knock, right? At least for formats that have knock legal, because I always feel like everybody underrates a card and nobody really expects it, especially in formats where it's like not played. Like Joey-Pegasus is one where like a lot of people don't main a knock or even play knock, right? Usually in the side. So even though I net deck GBO's like top deck from the last tournament, I almost every game, it's not every game, sided in knock and sided in premature burial because I feel like those two I always got value from in every game. And you even saw in game 2 knock get value on hitting a tomato.
Yep, not being able
Yeah,
to
it's
take
that.
away cards, not not just like specifically for flip monsters, but just taking cards out of the game, out of the banish pile. They can't use out of the graveyard. They can't use it for bazoo stuff. They can't recall it with their own premature or not called on. Sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up, but yeah, it's a very good point. I'm glad it worked out for you because some people may have just kept it out because they're often staring down the elf or the kaiku or the bazoo.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think we have like enough removal for Elf Kaikubazu. Like they're still really strong and really important, but we basically have no removal for Moth except for like the board clears and Co. So I thought that knock is like really important for hitting moths, and then also I thought it was really important for hitting people who set their tomatoes, witches, or sangans, because usually you never want any of those three in the graveyard, especially witch, because witch accesses I think like every card in your deck, no matter what, and then being able to call the haunted back or reborn it back could be like game changing in most states.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point. Being
that
able to
definitely makes
reuse
sense.
Witch's Effect multiple times, especially with, as you like, the Call of the Haunted, or even just Reborn Burial, that can lead to your opponent thinning your deck, getting to the strong cards, and then drawing those power spells. And sorry, Soul, you wanted to mention something.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna add that like that those definitely make sense. And it comes to premium, mentioned that that seemed to be something you wanted to bring in more. Is that a card you think that should just generally be main decked when it comes for this format because of the two charities and or sorts?
I I think in this format, it's you can 100% argue not maining it because a lot of people actually normal summon their Sangin and Witches for pushes and the Tomato as well, so they can go into a Tomato War. So like the only card you really hit is Moth, and like I feel like the only reason why it was actually so effective is because no one really suspected me siding into a knock in game two. So most people feel like setting a card is safe. So I would generally say in this format, knock isn't really good because you if someone's playing Necrofear or if someone's playing Tomato Control, over 90% of the time it's probably a dead card
Oh,
if they
I'm
expect
sorry.
it.
Sorry about that. I was asking about that for premature burial because you said you were bringing
Oh,
that in, and that's not a
yeah.
card that usually everyone main decks.
Yeah, premature. I from my previous games in like game 1 and 2, I'm pretty sure I had like Jinzos in the graveyard, and I just saw a lot of use from premature, but I can definitely see why people would keep it as a side deck card because you have 3 MST, Imperial Order, and it also 800 life points is shockingly a lot in DM formats because like that's basically 2 Bazoo banishes or 3 Bazoo banishes. So I would say definitely a side card and not a main deck card because it just has too many weaknesses. But if you main it, I can see why you main it. If you side it, I can see why you side it. But it's definitely in like the best 55 cards.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Even with people taking variations on their own builds, different ratios, definitely, regardless, see those cards as worthwhile inclusions. I've cited premature burial in and out as well. I still find it very useful, even with some of its drawbacks.
Yeah, premature also helps get like a tribute for Jinzo, but that's like a really niche uh, scenario to have.
Oh yeah, absolutely situational. Well, anyway,
Yeah, I think like
congrats. Sorry, I'll let you make your
Oh,
last comments and.
yeah, I was about to say that I have to go really soon. So
Yeah, well, I'm gonna wrap
thanks
this up
guys for like
here.
the
Thank you,
opportunity.
Food. Congratulations.
oh yeah,
Enjoy
thank
your
you so much. Yeah.
Necrofear playset, and we'll see you around on the Discord and in future tournaments.
All right,
Yeah.
see you guys. Bye.
Have a good
Have a
one.
good day.
Have a good one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and to you, Soul, thank you for coming on the stream and talking about the event and hosting and offering the prize incentive of Necrofear. Is not a lot of TOs go the extra mile, but I think we really do appreciate what you're doing for the community and be involved in getting more tournaments set up, and that's really great to see. And yeah, I'm probably gonna wrap this up pretty soon. So, if any final thoughts you want to say about the tournament, say to people maybe watching.
Yeah. I just want to firstly say just by the end, so thanks to everybody that played for Cards of Darkness, and it's always great to see everybody come out for these, not just even for say Joey-Pegasus, but for any of the other tournaments. I think it's really cool what we've done, and of course, just shout out to YGO Run Zero. I think
Big Ben.
he, yeah, Ben, like he's just he brought I think a really cool community of people that wanted to try and go through like all these different formats throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history and everything, and we're still gonna continue it, and we're now seeing like whether it's this treasure, fiber, imperial, or now we're seeing that as well for GX formats too. Like, it's always really great to see that everybody coming out for this as well. I will say though, in terms of anything for the future with Joey-Pegasus, I'm probably going to be taking a little bit of a break in terms of doing something like major. Or source I may do some smaller stuff though. I do want to try it as well to get some other formats around here to get some spotlight too. But Joey-Pegasus will still be around. Just in terms of like a major tournament, it may be a little while. At least there won't be one for this month. But we'll see in the future. I still do. But yeah, but seriously, thank you everyone. Congrats to Foon for first place, and congrats to Lolo for their top of Dark Necrofear. They're going to each Food will get the playset, and Lolo will get their own copy as well.
Right on, right on. Well, we're not completely out of the woods when it comes to this era of action, as there will be an Android tournament coming up in 2 days on the Android Land Discord server. Kesha and I will be helmeting the event, and it will be likely a Swiss bracket with a top cut. So if you want to play if anyone wants to play a dialed back version of Joey-Pegasus, we have the Android tournament coming up in a few days. Find me on Discord or find the server if you're interested. So, there's always that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. I think I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you again, Soul. And have a excellent rest of your evening, rest of your week. And I will see you guys around on the Discord. Thank you for tuning into the stream. And have a good night.